Hello, a very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Dr. Shambhavi Jaiman and we are here for another episode of Mental Health Notes. And today we are talking about something which a lot of us ignore, but it is very important, that is self-care. Now, self-care can mean different things for different people. It can mean one thing for one person, another thing for another person. So again, it's not something which is going to be same for everyone. So you need to figure out what is self-care for you. What does it mean? When we talk generally about self-care, it basically means taking care of ourselves, making sure that we are giving ourselves adequate time, making sure that we are giving ourselves adequate importance in our life, in our mental and physical health. Not just mental and physical health, but also in terms of whatever activities we are doing. Doing activities is something which can be helpful for our mental health. Self-care is not something which is just secluded or which is just related to spending money or splurging on yourself. It is small activities which one can do, which can bring small pleasures to you and make you feel a little better. It can be something as small as sitting in the garden. It can be something as big as taking a vacation. It can be something like learning a new instrument. It can be something which is like spending family time, spending time with your friends and colleagues. So it can mean different things for different people. Now, when we're talking about self-care, self-care is not just taking care of ourselves in a way that doing activities, it is also taking care of our health. Now, how do we take care of our health? We can take care of our health by modifying three things. That is our diet, that is our sleep, and that is our physical activity. So it is very important when we are talking about self-care to talk about what kind of diet are we taking. Are we taking a nutritious diet? Are we taking a diet which is healthy enough for us? Are we eating on time? Are we drinking enough water? These can be the smallest things which can be a part of your self-care. Drinking adequate water can be a target for you. It can be a self-care habit for you. Sleeping properly, sleeping on time, waking up on time is another self-care tip. It is something which we can do for ourselves to maintain our health, to maintain our self-care. It is something which is very small. A lot of us might not even consider it as self-care. It is a basic necessity at times, but it can be considered as a self-care. Another thing which I said is exercise, physical activity. Now, physical activity can also be a hobby for some people. It can be something which you're doing as a hobby. It can be something which you're doing for your physical exercise as a routine in your day. The more you exercise, the more hormones, which we usually call happy hormones or endorphins, are released in our body, which help us maintain our physical health as well as mental health. So exercising regularly for small amounts of time is something which is very important for our self-care. So make sure that you're including some amount of physical exercise in your self-care routine. Another aspect of self-care is taking care of our inner self, is taking care of our thoughts. Even taking care of our inner self, how peaceful we feel, what sort of thoughts are we having, can be a part of your self-care. If you've been experiencing that we are being very critical about ourselves, we are having a lot of negative thoughts, we are doubting ourselves a lot more, we need to acknowledge that. We need to watch our thoughts. We need to know that, okay, this is happening with us, and try to rectify it. That is again a part of your self-care. How you think, how you feel will affect how you are doing in your life. And that is part of your self-care. So make sure that as a part of your self-care, you're giving your thoughts ample time, your thoughts ample importance. Making sure that you're focusing on them, trying to rectify them if you feel that they are not on the right path or they are not in the right direction. When we talk about inner peace, when we talk about peace, our emotions and feelings are very important. Again, that is something which can be modifiable to an extent. That is part of self-care. We acknowledge what we are feeling. We acknowledge the emotions we are experiencing. As a part of your self-care, you can talk to someone about it. You can discuss it. See what works for them. How do they take care of these kind of emotions and feelings, and probably try and apply it for yourself. Say for somebody who's feeling upset, maybe reading a book or listening to a song would be helpful. Maybe you can do the same and it might work for you, and that would be a small help self-care tip which you can do. Care for your community, care for the people around you is again something which is important. When we are talking about care for people around you, when we are taking care of ourselves, only then we can take care of other people. When we are taking care of other people, they need to take care of themselves as well. So it's just not us taking care of them, but them taking care of themselves, their self-care routine as well. So make sure that you talk to them about how can they develop their self-care plan, how can they develop their self-care routine. And like I said, it can be different things for different people. It can be a smallest thing like sitting in the garden to a bigger thing, which is taking a vacation or going on leave, or buying something for yourself, or making a particular dish, cooking. It can be different things, but make sure that you identify what helps you, you incorporate it in your routine, you try and help other people incorporate their self-care routine and make it regular. Consistency is something which is very important when we are talking about self-care. When we talk about self-care, it doesn't mean that okay, once in a month we do this and then rest of the month we are just struggling and hustling with our work, or not taking care of ourselves, or struggling with our sleep, not exercising enough. Consistency is something which is an important and integral part in maintaining our self-care. If we are not consistent, one day of self-care is not adequate. But it is at least something than nothing. So make sure that you're trying to be as consistent as possible with all the time restraints which you have. Importance of self-care is in a lot of ways. If we are taking care of ourselves adequately, we can help reduce our anxiety, we can help reduce our chances of developing any sort of mental health concern like depression, we can help ourselves sleep better, we focus better, we are more productive, we are able to take care of other people more effectively. So it is important that you understand the importance of self-care and incorporate it in a consistent manner. If you're talking about a self-care plan, a lot of times what you can do if you're not sure about what is working for you or not working for you, you can make a blueprint of your routine. You can make a blueprint of your routine. You can see if it's working for you. If it doesn't, discuss it with people who are around you, make more changes. Now, certain activities which are researched or which are significantly proven to be helpful are spending time in the nature, exercising adequately, following any of your hobbies, any sort of hobby which you like, which you can be consistent with, be it playing a sport, be it playing an instrument, be it dancing, be it singing, any sort of hobby, be it drawing. Another thing which is considered to be self-care is spending time with yourself, by yourself, sitting with your thoughts. Make sure that you're doing that. A lot of times we ignore our thoughts, and that is an important concept which we need to inculcate or which we need to include in our self-care plan. When we talk about self-care, we need to understand that our self-care is not just self-care, it is also important for our physical health and mental health. So by improving on our self-care, by having a consistent self-care routine, we are also helping our mental health as well as our physical health. So make sure that you have a self-care program, you have a self-care routine, you're able to follow it. It shouldn't be something which should be too elaborate. Try and not have your self-care routines which are very elaborate. If they are very elaborate, you won't have the time, you don't have the energy sometimes, you wouldn't end up doing it. So make sure that it's short, it's simple, it's something you're comfortable with, it can be done anywhere. Another important thing which probably works for me is reading. It helps me understand what I can improve in myself. It gives me the time to sit alone by myself. It gives me a lot of peace. And that is one of the things I follow for my self-care. So try and figure out what is important for your self-care. Take care of your self-care, be consistent with it. Make sure that you're discussing with other people what works for them if you're struggling with your own self-care program or your self-care routine, and follow it. So I would be ending this session today. Thank you very much for being here. If there are any questions, please write them in the comment section and we can try and answer them. Thank you. Before we end this session, I'm just going to give you a few tips which you can follow for your self-care routine. The first and the foremost important thing is prioritizing yourself. Unless you take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of other people. Unless you're taking care of yourself, you won't be able to give time to other people. So make sure that you prioritize yourself. Second thing is follow something which is simple and which is not very elaborate. If it is elaborate, you won't be able to give it time. You won't be able to be consistent with it and it won't be helpful. So make it simple and make it less complicated. The third thing which I'm going to say is it can be any activity. It can be smallest activity as just sitting and listening to some music, playing with the pet, planting trees, taking care of your plants, going for a walk, sitting in the nature. It can be dancing, it can be any sort of hobby, sketching, drawing, it can be reading a book, it can be spending time with your peers, it can be spending time with your family. Make sure that you do them consistently. Make sure that you're doing it in a way which is okay for you and not a burden for you, because if it becomes a burden, then it is not something which is helping you. Make sure that you're consistent with it, because again, that will help you.